Thank you for the hype train. Level 2 hype train right out of the gate. Thank you. Twitch.tv/HalSparks. Please subscribe. Every time we dip below 800 subscribers, I get very, very nervous. Yeah, look, my car is a little long in the tooth. No pressure. It's just the holidays. Okay, here we go. and for the record, Trump is selling his picture book. Any other president, most of the other presidents who've left office wrote a book with words that were actually coherent and tell a story. Nah. The only reason it's a picture book is because a pop-up book requires engineering skills. So let's go.
People were more quiet about it. They didn't want to insult him.
Okay, hold on, wait. Back up. What is happening here? Oh, I guess he picked up here.
You say he'll go down as the worst president in history.
Oh, wait, is this Biden? Hold on. Yeah, hold on. Now, Mr. Producer, I'm in my office, which looks exactly like my other office, which also looks like my other set, and I have always got extra copies of my book, not just to stack on top of the other books in my office, but also to have on the shelf and in front of me. Always be closing. Mr. Producer, go.
Media, the rhino, the never Trumpers.
Oh, shit. He's good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. He was actually crapping on Republicans.
Distract you, because they don't want Donald Trump to be president again, and many of you...
And neither does Donald Trump.
Here's part 2. Biden, you say he'll go down as the worst president in history. And look at what he's done.
Well, he is... Yeah, you don't realize that asking that question, Levin, reminds Trump that he's no longer president and Biden is, though. And I want to thank you for that. Just want to thank you.
People around him have done. Do you think the election a few weeks ago was a reaction to him, as well as all these crazy Marxist ideologies, critical race theory? You signed an executive order banning it from the federal government. Biden is forcing our military members to learn it.
No, they're having diversity training because they have a white supremacy issue in some areas where they're recruiting. Not the same thing. Please continue.
And to digest it.
Oh, but I didn't realize they were eating the book as well.
Biden is in bed with the teachers' unions that promote the same thing. Of course, they didn't like you all that much. You pushed for school choice. You also pushed for liberty and...
What happened? Why is this video unavailable? What happened? Wait a minute. Oh, this is... No, it says it's right there. What's happening? I see it. This video is unavailable. What the heck? Oh, look at that. Somebody yanked it down. Well, that's depressing. Hold on. Don't worry. We have a backup. Hold on. Here we go.
Marxist ideologies, critical race theory. You signed an executive order banning it from the federal government.
Yep.
Biden is forcing our military members to learn it and to digest it. Biden is in bed with the teachers' unions that promote the same thing.
True.
Of course, they didn't like you all that much. You pushed for school choice.
That's why.
You also pushed for liberty and entrepreneurship in the black community and minority communities, more than Biden or Obama have ever done. You got an increase.
I love how Trump has that I did look on his face.
In the black community, you got an increased vote in the Hispanic community too.
That's because more people were able to vote because of mail-in voting, and Republicans traditionally target black and Hispanic voters regardless of their party because they assume the majority of them will be Democrats, and therefore denying Hispanics and black people the right to vote will deny mostly Democratic voters. So it's that they can lose the few that are on their side over this process. And then, of course, mail-in voting and absentee voting and early voting and stuff being wide open because of COVID allowed everybody to participate. So even Trump got a few more of these people. Now, not near the amount that they would need. And statistically, they recognize that increase on year over year, again, in the 2020 election versus 2016, for example, is entirely based on the volume of voters, not voters switching over.
Criminal justice reform.
Criminal justice reform.
Because that's all you can think of when you think of black people. That's immediately where he goes. Like Levin is talking about, or Levin is talking about black voters, and you're getting a better share, and it's because of entrepreneurship, and you're reaching out in unemployment. And Trump's going criminal justice reform. Most of them are criminal, and they like it when I reform the Justice Department.
Can you think of anything Biden has done that has united the country, that has actually helped minorities, that is positive in any way?
So if you look, President Obama was very divisive.
Yeah, he was so divisive. The whole thing about him saying that if he had a son, he would look like Trayvon. I mean, could you just drive a stake in the heart of anybody who bought khakis and a blue blazer and would wear a MAGA hat walking through the Washington Mall? You know, he was so divisive, you know, being half black and half white. I mean, how much more?
But people were more quiet about it. They didn't want to insult him. But he was very divisive.
Yeah, by the way, Trump doesn't mind, quote unquote, insulting him. Just, I'm fine with that.
Biden administration is far worse. In fact, I noticed the other day where Obama said, this is very dangerous, all of these, you know, what they're doing is too much for him. It may be too much for Bernie.
Is that what he said? Is that what, did Biden say this is too dangerous? All this stuff they're doing, it was too bad for him? Is that, remember that quote from Obama, which didn't happen? He's about to say, it may be too much for Bernie Sanders, I think is what he's going to say next.
Dangerous, all of these, you know, what they're doing is too much for him. It may be too much for Bernie Sanders, but I doubt it, okay? But
also, look at Levin, who's like sitting back, shirt looks almost untucked. It's oversized. I think he's probably spilled something on his shirt and had to borrow one of Trump's because the neck is too big. And Trump is like in sales mode. Get me the fuck out of this. Like the lean forward, the listen here, fix this, right?
when they look at his top economic people are looking at this inflation, and they're seeing these bills that are being passed for trillions and trillions of dollars, where it's like throwing money out the window. He sees the cost of energy, and they see the cost of it. They see what's happening, and they're saying, you can't do this. You can't.
That's what they're saying? Is that what they're saying? You can't do this? His own economic team?
These are Obama people telling Biden people, you can't do this.
Right. So Obama was very divisive, but people were quiet about it because they didn't want to insult him, even though he was being divisive, because you don't want to insult someone who's being divisive. But even though he was divisive, and Biden is doing this now, Obama is trying to warn Biden that you can't do more of this because you'll end up inflation. Help. I don't understand what the fuck he's talking about. All right.
But they push forward anyway. Let's see what happens. We have.
Let's see what happens. They're destroying the country. The country's gonna it's gonna be horrible. Even the Obama people. It's terrible. It's terrible. Let's see what happens.
We had an election where it was very helpful. In fact, the new governor of Virginia called up early in the morning after the election to thank me. We were very helpful. Look, the MAGA people and people that support Trump came out in force, far greater than anybody thought possible.
Well, apparently only in one state and only a minor amount. And it had more to do with school board stuff and internal issues to Virginia. Why didn't you do a rally then? If the MAGA people were coming out in force, maybe you didn't have to. They were already coming out. They were so excited for your endorsement, you didn't even have to endorse him overtly.
You're an expert. You see what's going on. Your wife is a brilliant lawyer.
By the way, have you guys noticed how much he's in like fillet everyone who's interviewing him mode?
She knows what's going on. It's terrible. We have to get back to borders. We have to get back to
whoa.
What's going on. It's terrible. We have to get back to borders.
Oh, that was an edit. Did he say more stuff about Levin's wife that they had to cut out?
We have to get back to free enterprise, and we need a press that's fair and equal, and we don't have it. What's happened with big tech is a disgrace. I mean, it's just an absolute disgrace. So we have things to do, but it's going to happen. I believe we have the people on our side. I think we really do. I think we have a large majority.
And by the way, am I the only person who, hold on, when there's so much of this that when it comes up, I can't help but think of a particular great American who also had a similar kind of winging it style, you know, that just kind of on his feet could just, you know, reach down inside and say,
children are on an island. And they eat each other. They season each other first and then chow down. They're in a plane crash.
Oh, that's the Lord of the Flies. You're thinking of the Lord of the Flies, yep. That's right.
What's your film?
Lord of the Rings.
That's original. So one word and they think from there becomes a hit.
Well, it's also...
Hollywood.
Sure. Well, it's 2 books, you know. Lord of the Flies is a book as well.
Oh my goodness, so you did learn something from that homeschooling.
Well,
With the exception of addition, subtraction, reading, and writing.
every time Trump starts talking, like, we're going to find out what happens. If you know, yeah. Sorry.
Who wouldn't want voter ID, as an example? Who wouldn't want a strong military, a border? Who wants to have millions of people flowing into our country? How many people, I mean, think, if you did a sample of 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a sample of them, especially 1,000 Democrats, and you'd find that no one knows what the fuck you're talking about.
Typical good American people that love our
Thank you. I'm glad to be included. I feel seen.
country. They can't believe what they're witnessing at the border. And some of the people are really bad.
So apparently these 1,000 people that we're polling are all standing around the border watching.
They're stone cold killers that other countries don't want, and they're sending them in from their prisons. Prisons are being emptied out.
Shit. He already said this shit to him in the first part of this interview. Nobody buys this. Also, if this is the case, why do you keep saying the president of Mexico is your friend if he is dumping Ted Bundys into the country?
In other countries. This is not a majority. Sanctuary cities, this is not a majority. This stuff is really, really bad. And I think you're going to see a big, big victory for Republicans in the midterms. I think it's going to be very hard for them to come back that fast. They're using prosecutors all over the place to hurt people, to hurt Republicans. I will say.
I thought the storyline from the right was that the prosecutors were just letting criminals out.
Bill Barr certainly didn't do that. He certainly didn't. But they're using their prosecutors to hurt people and hurt them very badly. They're going after people, everybody. I've been under investigation from the day I came down the escalator. Think of it.
Well, yeah. Largely because you had somehow managed to dodge being investigated before.
Come down.
Also, we found out recently all those folks are extras.
Escalator to do a good job. And by the way, I knew that running would be a very expensive thing. I didn't know it would be this expensive, but that's okay. I'm very happy about what happened. I saw Bloomberg spend $2 billion. He never got past the first question. The first question, he was gone.
Well, I think he spent $500 million on his account, but $500 million, $2 billion, what difference does it make when you're talking about billions that you don't have yourself? Anyways, but also after he dropped out, he decided to back Biden, and Biden won. So money where your mouth is, I guess.
Very good if he didn't do the debate. But he spent
Yes, and yes, thank you, Nina, for keeping us on track. The question is, has Biden done anything good for the country?
$1 billion. This country has tremendous potential. Tremendous.
Are we talking about North Korea now, or what do you?
We're giving it away, and there'll be a point. There'll be a point where the country can't come back, and we can never allow that point to be reached. So I think
Yeah, we're good. Thanks. We're covered.
things are going to happen very big in the midterm elections, and I think in 2024 it's going to be a great result.
Life, liberty, and Levin. Don't know what kind of trouble America's in. Life, liberty. No, life. Like, I mean, at least my theme song is cute.
A number of photos in the book. Again, the name of the book is Our Journey Together.
Yeah, make sure there's not that many words in it, so make sure you remind people that there are some words involved.
People can get it for Hanukkah, for Christmas. It's a
For Hanukkah, for Christmas, for Kwanzaa. No, probably not. 7% more people are getting it for Kwanzaa this year than previous Republicans selling picture books after their biggest loss in history.
fantastic book.
And we even have a picture of Mark.
Of me
Okay.
and my beautiful wife.
Much more.
Oh, dear God. It's at the same... It's the same staircase in the Hannity picture. Is there a flip book part of this where Trump doesn't change, but the people in the staircase, like Trump and the staircase are the same, but the people just kind of... It's the same shit. It's the same thumb. It's the same stupid grin.
Thank you, yes.
How is it, by the way, how tall is Mark Levin? Seriously. What is happening? How is it that Mark Levin looks ginormous in that picture and looks, what is happening?
You can go to 45books.com.
And get a bunch of pictures that other people would sue about.
45books.com. You have a couple of photographs
This is him autographing Bibles, by the way.
here. You and Netanyahu, you and Israel. You're the only president.
You and Netanyahu, you and Israel. The guy behind him going, don't touch that. Don't touch. Hey, could you not touch that? Do you mean this thing? Don't. Like Philip Seymour Hoffman in The Big Lebowski. Don't touch that, please.
To ever visit the Western Wall, ever. And you have the kippah on, and you're there with Ivanka and others and so forth.
And you're pretending to give a shit and
Did so much for the state of Israel. In fact, you did so much for peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, thank God that the long-standing war between Israel and Bahrain finally came to a close. I mean, the bombs finally, the thunderous bombs from Qatar stopped raining down.
Nobody could believe one after another.
Yeah, one after another. All these countries that weren't, at war with Israel signed peace deals just to get $50 billion in U.S. military aid. It's almost as it's in many ways, Trump, aren't you the Prince of Peace?
After another, and you were choking Iran economically. Iran was about to collapse. Now look at what's happening today. Iran selling 500,000 barrels of oil to China every day.
Yep.
Iran is sprinting toward nuclear weapons.
They're sprinting towards nuclear weapons. Now, one would think that a guy looking over to the floor like that, sticking his tongue out that way, gesturing the way he is, knows he's full of shit. But we'll see.
Biden's begging them to come to the table, and they won't.
Is that what he's doing? He's begging them to come to the table, but they won't.
Israel's on defense. They're threatening Israel. They vote against Israel in the United Nations. These Arab countries that made these deals with Israel, and they've kept these deals with Israel. We haven't added a single other country, and you were close to adding Saudi Arabia and so many other countries.
They were lined up.
They were lined up.
Well, then why don't they do it? What difference is in the deal with America, not with an individual?
If we not had a rigged election, we would have had peace in the Middle East. They were lined up. We're just waiting.
Yeah, that was the only thing, guys. We could have had it. We were this close. I know what you're thinking. Peace in the Middle East. Pipe dream. Difficult. No. We were this close. If only... I mean, Trump probably could have gotten it the last 3 months that he was in office, but he was so pissed about losing the election. It's like, fuck it. Let him die.
The election, we were going to sign them one after another. It was happening. Look, we had UAE. He's a leader. He's a great leader. And it's...
Yeah. The fucking UAE. Yeah, they have real issues with Israel and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Leading country over there and respected. But
but which is just a Middle Eastern version of the Cayman Islands. Yeah, but please, the UAE, right?
I will tell you this: Israel's in big trouble. Israel's in big
Taiwan, Israel.
Well, and nobody talked about Taiwan.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Taiwan, Israel, same thing.
When I was president, and he understood that. I had a very good relationship until COVID, because after COVID, my relationship, I didn't.
By the way, he means she, not Sheikh Khalifa of the UAE.
You know, there's only so much you can take. China's been ripping us off for years. I put tariffs on, took in hundreds of billions of dollars, all of that. I still got a lot. But when COVID came out and came in, obviously from China.
Which was the thing? Did it come out and come in? It came out from there and into here. I see. Okay.
I mean, China tried to blame Italy and Europe initially, if you remember. People don't remember these things. But
yeah, we do. Yeah, they were doing that while you were going. They're handling it very professionally. I have great respect for Chairman Xi. While you were saying that, they were blaming Italy. Right. We know this.
Very much hurt my relationship with President Xi because and maybe... I mean, who wouldn't? Who can speak to somebody you're losing? The world is dying around you. The whole world, not just the United States. I mean, there's a certain point. At a certain point, when the whole world is dying around you, you're like, all right, let's keep working on the trade deal a little while longer, and I'm only going to kiss your ass for another 8 weeks. Prices have been hit much harder, relatively much harder. So. When you look at it, when you look at what we've done, the live stream dropped out here. Sorry. And we did a great job. And then really handed him a very beautiful palette. We handed it to him. And every day they're destroying that palette. Yeah, the palette is being destroyed, guys. I don't know if he means the painting palette, which I think is the gesture that he's talking about, or the hard or soft palate, we don't know, or his ability to taste things and tell the difference between sweet and salty. And we have a big problem. We're going to have a big problem if it continues. I will say this, Israel was safe with me. We're back in Israel. We were in China for a second, and Italy, and now we're back at, don't forget to reset your watches. Man would have made a deal with me. They were being hurt very badly by the sanctions. Now most of those sanctions have been taken off. No, they haven't. And you're right, China was buying very little. I said, don't do it, don't do it. Now they're buying more than 500,000 barrels a day. Can you believe it? Yeah, right. Mark, you're a fucking liar, according to Trump. That number, you just made it up. It's not nearly enough. I know you think it's 500 million barrels, but no. It's 500 bazillion barrels. So, but you didn't hear about Taiwan. You know, when I was president, you didn't hear bombers are flying all over Taiwan. We don't hear that now. Bombers are not flying all over Taiwan. They're not. They aren't. They'll do something with Taiwan probably after the Olympics because they don't. You think? Yeah, probably not before the Olympics. Yeah. Respect the Biden administration. I watched them the other day sitting.
You do realize we don't own Taiwan. We're just helping, and the Japanese and the UK and Australia are also helping us defend Taiwan. But what?
President Xi, who's at the top of his game. There's nobody in Hollywood that could play his role. I know him very well. I had a
What? What the what? Hold on. There what?
the Biden administration. I watched them the other day sitting. There was President Xi, who's at the top of his game. There's nobody in Hollywood that could play his role. I know him very well. I had a great relationship with him.
What does what does that mean? What the fuck? This is another central casting kind of thing. He's right. He's a tough Chinese leader straight from central casting. Nobody could play his role. What? Nobody in what? Do you think Levin knows what the shit he's talking about?
But I told him early on, don't ever do anything with Taiwan. Don't ever do it. He understood that. Strong guy.
That's what you said? Don't ever do anything with Taiwan. That's what you told him in meetings.
He understood it.
He did?
But nobody talked about Taiwan they talked about some.
Well, you did. You told him don't do anything with Taiwan. I think is the and wonderful. Hold on. This is let's see. We'll probably find something. Let's see. Trump, Xi, Taiwan. When President-elect Trump took a congratulatory call from Taiwan's leader to inaugurate 4 years of chaotic foreign policy with China, left everyone. President along the way. First to get into the Trump president looked like practice, not just theory. When Chinese diplomat Yang Jiechi berated his American counterparts in the meeting at Jared Kushner's office on December 9th, he was not merely establishing the baseline of the relationship or testing the Trump team for strengths and weaknesses. He was also conveying his government's intense displeasure at one of the incoming Trump administration's first official acts vis-a-vis China. Everyone knew why Chinese leadership was upset, but Yang made it clear anyway. President Trump had taken this call. Beijing considered Taiwan a renegade province. Every minor interaction between Washington and Taipei was grounds for diplomatic protest. The time for accepted calls, Where is it? Hold on. The Taiwan call. Trump ended up conceding one huge issue in the U.S.-China competition almost immediately for nothing in return. This incident in turn, here you go. This is, where is it? At the time, the mere fact that Trump had accepted a call from Taiwan's president and that the White House put out a press release saying that the president had taken a call from the, quote, president of Taiwan was proof enough for most of the media that the incoming president was either a reckless China hawk or a neophyte who clumsily failed his first test. But the story of it, exactly how Trump came to take a call from Taiwan's president remains in dispute, even among people directly involved. The story's outcome, on the other hand, is incontestable. Trump ended up conceding one huge issue in the U.S.-China competition almost immediately for nothing in return. This incident, in turn, became the foundation for Trump's personal relationship with Xi Jinping, a relationship that would have massive influence on the course of history. In the first year of the Trump administration, the White House was a hall of mirrors. Every story was told from several perspectives. Let's see. In case of Trump's Taiwan call, the most often reported version of how is one that least believed by the people actually in the know. This version was largely accepted by the Washington establishment because it was plausible enough, because in the chaos of the moment, there were too many other scandals drawing the media's attention to search for a better version. Reporter led New York Times and others credits the Taiwan call to former Kansas Senator Bob Dole, whose lobbying law firm, Alston Bird, gets paid $280,000 a year by the Taiwanese government. Dole worked behind the scenes over the past 6 months to establish a high-level contact. He got them in, but that's not the way it actually went down. According to the people who were directly involved, the real connection between Trump team and Taiwan, they say, was made by then Randy Shriver, a former Pentagon official, who at the time led a small think tank called Project 2049, institute that was partially funded by Taiwanese government money. Trump went through the calls today, at least one, He just took the call because anybody who calls him and says you're doing great, he believes the call. That's why. According to Bannon, Trump felt the same way. If you take the phone call, it will explode around the region, but you will have the Chinese government on the back foot. Bannon told Trump, well, then I'm definitely taking the phone call. Trump responded, Phone call was a few minutes long. Trump's defensiveness was on display when he tweeted the next day that he had not initiated the call. The president of Taiwan called me today to wish me congratulations on winning the presidency. Thank you. This left Beijing in a pickle. Speaking with Taiwan's leader was an affront to the case. Xi wanted to come to Mar-a-Lago and cement his relationship with Trump, but couldn't lose face. The Taiwan call had to be walked back, otherwise Xi was there. So Trump wanted the problem with Xi fixed as well. He never intended to offend Xi with the call. Trump saw the two countries as two giant corporations, and Xi was as his opposing CEO. He needed a good relationship with the other CEO to have productive negotiations, at least at the start. Trump also looked up to the strongman leaders. So Kushner, working with the Chinese ambassador, devised a plan to break the impasse. On the evening of Thursday, February 9th, after most White House staff had gone home, Kushner called Bannon, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson to the president's residence. There, Trump took a phone call from Xi, and as Kushner arranged, his father-in-law promised Xi directly that he would accept no more phone calls from the leader of Taiwan. In the official White House statement about the call, Matt Pottinger secured a small but largely symbolic victory. The original draft had stated that Trump would commit to honoring, quote, the one China policy, but Pottinger made the statement read, President Trump agreed at the request of President Xi to honor our one-child policy, emphasis added. That edit maintained America's historical position of ambiguity as to whether the United States agrees with Beijing on its claims, regardless, which is, in many ways, I think, that it sounds like she told him what to do. Know what I mean? Thanks, guys. Thanks for subscribing with Prime, Kimmy. Yay! Thank you, Kochika. Kochika? I'm going to go with Kochika, just for fun. Dee Dee, thank you for becoming a member on YouTube as well. That edit maintained America's historical position of ambiguity. Regardless, the call showed that Trump had conceded Xi's main point, that the Taiwan call was wrong and would never happen again. That removed the obstacle for the Mar-a-Lago summit. Not everyone was pleased about this outcome. Bannon, for instance, was livid. He saw the call as a naive concession by Kushner and a misstep by Trump. Why did we take a phone call from Xi? We had all the leverage. She was dying to go to Mar-a-Lago. Bannon told me later. They got to Kushner. This was Kushner who drove that. Since that time, Trump doesn't want to hear about Taiwan. Since that time, Trump doesn't want to hear about Taiwan. Who the fuck is Alex Wong? Trump screamed. And why didn't anybody tell me he was going to Taiwan? Get him out of there. After these two phone calls, Trump's attitude towards Taiwan could vacillate between indifference and disrespect and will continue in that vein throughout his presidency because everybody in the administration was aware of the president's opinion. The Trump administration, despite being full-on pro-Taiwan hawks at the bureaucratic level, avoided almost all public displays of sympathy or support for the island for the first 3 years. What minor increases in the support the U.S. did muster were done largely without public fanfare and sometimes even without Trump's knowledge. For instance, despite the fact that Mattis chose Randy Schreiber, a pro-Taiwan hardliner, to be the top Pentagon policy official for Asia, it took over 2 years to push through sales of a new F-16 fighter jets to the island. The Pentagon didn't send any generals or admirals to visit Taipei for public events, which would have been a relatively benign move. For the first year, no senior Trump officials visited Taiwan at all. When Trump officials did visit Taiwan and Beijing complained, Trump took China's side. In March 2018, a Deputy Assistant Secretary of State named Alex Wong would visit Taipei, meet with senior Taiwanese officials, and give a speech praising Taiwan's democracy as an example for the entire region. Wong had been the foreign policy staffer for Tom Cotton and had worked on Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential campaign before that. The United States has been and always will be Taiwan's closest friend and partner, he said during his trip to Taipei. The Chinese government protested to the White House. When Trump was informed that Beijing was angry about the remarks of Wong in Taipei, he was furious. Who the fuck is Alex Wong? And why didn't anybody tell me he was going to Taiwan? Get him out of there. Wong wasn't fired, but the rest of the administration got the message. One that in the months and years to follow would become clear to Taiwan's government as well. In early 2019, when the American Institute in Taiwan was preparing a reception to celebrate the 40th anniversary of the Taiwan Relations Act, there was an internal administration discussion about sending a cabinet-level official to attend. No senior cabinet member wanted to go, so Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin was given the assignment. But a month before the ceremony, Trump fired Shulkin after it was revealed he was taking his wife on European shopping and sightseeing trips under the cover of official U.S. government business. When the Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen arrived at the reception, the highest level U.S. guests were an Assistant Secretary of State and former House Speaker Paul Ryan. There were no senior Trump officials in the room. Nobody even talked about Taiwan. They didn't have to. You'd already conceded Taiwan was theirs. The reason that they're flying these planes in is because the Biden administration won't.
In the future. I mean, this is imminent when you take a look. But I watched Biden sitting with Xi, and it didn't look like Biden really knew what was going on, and he made a very terrible mistake. You know the mistake I'm talking about.
No, tell us the mistake you're talking about. The terrible mistake of doing it on Zoom.
Terrible mistake. I don't even like saying it.
Say it.
What he said now, what he said was so bad, but he was sitting with Xi.
He doesn't remember what he was going to say. There was something, but he doesn't remember what it was. Seriously, Trump does not remember the terrible thing. He's hoping Levin would bail him out. That's what that was. That's a grown man going, honey, you've met, we met at the party last year. You know, you met him. Remember? We did that thing. You two, remember? You remember him? Who, Gary? Yeah, Gary. You remember Gary. Gary, I was just saying to my wife, your name.
Have somebody that's at the top of his game, and you have somebody else that was never really at the top of the game, and certainly is not at the top of his game. And our country's in trouble.
By the way, this is a man who's at the top of his slurping game. Yeah, the hand gestures are begging. Yeah. Liberty and
welcome to
the US. John, I don't
test
no.
of our
yeah.
America.
Skip.
Let's talk a little bit more about this Russia collusion issue. Durham has indicted this guy, Michael Sussman, who lied to the FBI, brought them
to protect Carter Page
information, was working with Perkins Coie. That law firm used to have a guy by the name of Mark Elias. They went all through the states from 2016 to 2020 trying to change the rules and so forth. All kinds of dark money behind him.
And got fired from Perkins Coie.
Well, he certainly left. And
because it's hot.
It's hot.
Well, he didn't get fired. He left, but he kind of like he got fired by him leaving. And look at Trump sitting back like he got fired. Oh, he didn't get fired. Oh, shit. Because it was too hot.
Hillary Clinton was behind most of this.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to Hillary Clinton?
Well, I think it's disgraceful. I think that I always knew it was a hoax. And I tell the story.
This is what you would say to Hillary? Hillary, if you're listening, tune in. This is just pretend he's talking to you for a second. I would always, what would you say to Hillary Clinton? I knew it was a hoax. Look, there was always this thing, and then it's not at all that he's going to go into like defensive bullshit to cover his ass. He's going to tell her what's what.
The campaign, people would come up to me, different people, young people, old people that were working on my campaign.
What do you know about Russia? Same shit.
So what do you know about Russia?
Oh my God. What do you know about Russia? After the 5th or 10th time, I was like, what is this? Why do people keep asking me about Russia?
I said nothing. What do you know about Russia? Nothing.
By the way, Hillary, you can tune out now. You've heard this story.
What do you know about? Sir, do you know anything about Russia?
Like, sir, how many fingers am I holding up? Sir, do you have, can you say person, woman, man, camera, TV in Russian?
About 5 times I'd say, what the hell is going on with Russia? They've created a false, just a totally fabricated story. They made it up in either her kitchen or a law office.
Probably, oh gosh, which would it be? Kitchen or law? All I know is she's a woman and she's a lawyer. So where do women, lawyers are in a law office. Women, mainly kitchens. Fuck you, dude. kitchen or a law office. What a prick. Yeah, maybe it was the kitchen in the law office. Maybe she was near the Keurig machine in a kitchen or the law office. Like, never let an opportunity for petty sexism to pop out.
She spent millions of dollars. Crooked Hillary did this. Millions and millions of dollars, gave it to Steele, who's a nut job. And he did the whole FBI. And
Oh my God, he must be exhausted. I know he fucked Ivanka, but I had no idea.
who's a nut job. And he did the whole FBI.
Oh my God. I didn't know he had it in him. Shit. Oh my God. He did what now? Hold on. This is all right. My page didn't click over. Hold on.
John McCain, not my favorite person. I knew him well. He sent a copy to the FBI. Great Republican he was.
Yeah, apparently he didn't have to. And the FBI never saw it because they were too busy fucking Christopher Steele.
Right? Let's take down the Republican president. He sent a copy of a fake report to the FBI.
Was it a fake copy of a real report or a real copy of a fake report?
Once it
Neither
was
way.
Reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Well, tell that to Christopher Steele and Ivanka.
It's if you did a movie, nobody would believe it.
No.
Okay, nobody would believe it. And
Yeah, look at Levin. He doesn't believe it just from the telling.
people say to me, how you survived is one of the most incredible things. Don't forget, I fired Comey. Had I not fired Comey, you might not be talking to me right now about a beautiful book of 4 years at the White House. And we'll see about the future. The future is going to be very interesting. But I fired.
Yeah, if you hadn't fired Comey, he might have caught you.
Me, that whole group, and now that group is coming back again. I mean, it's not believable. It shouldn't be allowed to happen.
It's not this. I mean, Comey is going to be head of the FBI again. It's not believable, and it shouldn't. It's not happening. Oh, well, it's not believable. Well, yeah, just like your story. This, by the way, anybody who thinks Trump is going to run in 2024 and is going to have the same level of enthusiasm and backing that he had in 2016 is out of their fucking mind. And this in and of itself is proof, just for the record. I'm just saying. Because, hold on, this computer just wants to kick out sometimes. All right.
Be allowed to happen.
You have some beautiful photographs in the book. The book.
Divert, pull out, divert, move away, divert.
It's called Our Journey Together, and you can get it at 45books.com. 45 books.
Yeah, it's not on Amazon. You can't you can't get it at there's no Barnes and Nobles. There's no, really? Is that the
.com with Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah. Same look, no thumb though. I thought that was a good move, considering. And interestingly enough, Rush knew to keep his wife on the outside. It's a lesson Levin never learned.
He was an early supporter.
And that's not an accident. That's normally when you get a picture with somebody, a lot of times you'll put your partner in the middle. But Rush knows better than to do that around Trump.
Right? I didn't know him. I never met him. He supported me right after the
I know both of you.
Yeah.
And there's a similarity in a sense with both of you.
Yeah, you're both hypocrites about drugs. You're both, for all practical purposes, deaf to any voice but your own. You're both gross. And you both lied about your health a lot. You
really are individual human beings.
unlike these other collectivist assholes
who do what you think is right. You're free spirits. You don't play.
Yeah, there's just something hippie-esque about both of you. You know what I mean? You let your hair down, and by down, I mean on one side, and then you flop it over.
The game with the social communities or the media or anything else. And I think Rush, who was one of my best friends, saw that in you. And that's what it...
He projected his egotistical view of himself onto you and went, here's another balding fat bastard who's not above being a sex tourist and who's definitely taking a lot of drugs under the table while saying that drug dealers should be thrown in jail. It was like looking into a warped mirror.
Attracted him to you. He said, this guy's different. He speaks out. He fights. He's not hiding. He takes the media on because, they used to come after him.
He's gross. He admits out loud to groping women without their consent. He's got a breath like a dog fart. There's so much.
So what do you make of that?
So Rush was interesting. Obviously, I knew he was, like the biggest of all time on radio talk.
I knew he was like the biggest of all time on radio talk shows.
Radio and all of that. And by the way, you're doing really well, too, I must say.
Ass kissing.
And the great Sean Hannity are doing great. But Rush was, even Sean would say, irreplaceable. He was an amazing...
By the way, Sean is trying to replace Rush right now and probably just will.
But I didn't know him. I never met him. And I came down and I made a speech. It was quickly written. I didn't have speech writers or anything, because perhaps the day before I didn't even know if I was running. And I came down.
Because it was just a stunt?
I talked about the wall. I talked about the horrible things. I talked about the rape and all of the things that were going on with this tremendous migration, which, by the way, is a tiny fraction of what it is now. I had it brought...
Like, the rape, good Lord. And notice, he said they're rapists, they're drug dealers, and some of them are not, but he just said the rape, just in general. Fucking hell.
The lowest number in our country's history.
Well, yeah, but that's because we had more COVID than Mexico did.
And now it's the highest number after just a few months. It's the highest
number,
the worst number in our country's history. But I talk about immigration, I talked about the wall, talked about a strong military, talked about all these different things, right?
By the way, are you still telling this shit to Hillary, or have we moved past that? Is Hillary still in your imagination sitting where Mark is?
And I heard that somebody came into my office at that time in Trump Tower and said, we understand, sir, that Rush Limbaugh is a big fan of yours. I said, well, that's really nice. I don't know him, but that's really nice. And then I'd hear more and more and more. And then eventually I got to speak to him on the phone quickly. And then we met and we fell in love. Okay? We had a great relationship.
Okay, so Kim Jong-un isn't the only disgusting pig that you liked hanging out with. All right,
I mean, he was great. His wife is a great person. And...
okay, she got a sniff. Rush got a slurp. Not that I'm taking notes.
He was an amazing... He could talk for 3 hours without phone calls. It's easy to do it with phone calls. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? He would...
By the way, that's what Levin does, so he's kind of shitting on him right now.
Sit there and talk. He didn't actually like taking phone calls. You know that.
Right.
He took very few phone calls. When you made a call, it was very rare. It was very interesting, because I think it's much easier to do the call. Even if you have hostile calls, to me, that's like easy. You wrap up the 3 hours or the 2 hours. He would sit there for hours and just talk. And people were spellbound. I mean, it was incredible. I said, who does this? Who could do this?
Me? It's not that fucking hard. What are you talking about? He had 6-minute segments in between ads. Rush's show was one of the shortest, had some of the shortest segments on talk radio.
And he really became a tremendous fan. So he got sick.
Ugh.
And I have the honor of giving out the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. This is civilian, that's for the military. And we've given them to great people, great people.
Yeah, any other people that were caught with 30,000, what was it, amphetamines, oxys?
And
whatever
I said, you know what I'm going to do? Making the State of the Union. It was coming up. Rush was very sick, and yet he wasn't missing a day. He'd go to a hospital in Boston and come back, and he'd do his show, and he was going through, he had a tough one in terms of the various cancers. Mm-hmm. He had
a tough one in terms of the various cancers. See, that's how you know they were close. The various cancers. He had some sort of cancer, I hear.
But I guess they would say no chance, but he felt there was a great chance, all right? That's the way he was, optimistic about everything, about this country. Yeah. He loved the country.
Yeah, he was very optimistic about the country. Something that it is the exact opposite of how you're viewing things. The world's coming to an end all the fucking time. Every speech he ever made. So what happened? What does this have to do with Levin saying you guys had so much in common? I saw you as both how Rush was optimistic and every word out of your mouth is that the world's going to die without you at the helm.
As much as anybody I've ever known. But he got sick, very sick. And I said
from the various forms of cancer.
Melania, First Lady, who's very popular, by the way. Every time I do, we love our First Lady, we love our First Lady. I said to Melania, I said, you know.
Every time you, what is that? What, are you just spraying? Are you peeing? What is that? Every time I do, this is a grown man talking. This is the former president of the United States, ladies and gentlemen. What the shit? Hold on, back up. I'm gonna reconnect my keyboard. Every time I do, look at this. What is this waving bullshit?
I said to Melania, First Lady, who's very popular, by the way. Every time I do, we love our First Lady, we love our First Lady. I said to Melania, I said, you know, he's a great.
I mean, is that a sentence? Is that, yeah, it is totally in line with let's see, hold on. It's in here. Yeah.
I had to beat off.
Yeah, it looked like that kind of a gesture. Yeah, there he is. There you go.
I had to beat off.
So, all right, here we go.
First Lady, we love our First Lady. I said to him,
think about this for 1 second. I know I'm hanging on something, but think about this. Think about talking about your wife or your husband or your significant other and going, every time I talk about my wife, like, we love. Anyways, when I do, we love the, is great. Like, imagine talking about your mate that way.
I said, he's a great guy. He's had an incredible career. People love him because he loves our country.
We're getting an inside look of he's talking to the First Lady right now, and she's going to respond.
We're going to give him the award, and I think I'm going to do something that's never been done. I'm going to give it to him during my State of the Union. And it was wild, because I did it, and you have just about 50-50, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the side on the right happened to be, in this case it's the right, but it was the Democrats sitting on the right.
Your left, not my right. My right, not your left. They were sitting on the right, but you think of it as the left because of the direction that you're thinking. But from where I'm standing, they're on the right. And it was throwing me for a loop because I was like, which side is supposed to, can we swap everybody?
And they were like this, except for one or two people. I must tell you, Joe Manchin had a beautiful smile on his face. He even lightly applauded, and a couple of others too, because they understood the greatness of...
Because the guy has cancer and he's in the room.
What Rush had done.
I mean, I don't know what kind of cancer. You'd have to ask him. They were very close. But one of the various kinds of cancer.
For the most part, it was just stark cold. And the left, which in this case was the Republicans.
Oh my God. Tell the fucking story. Nobody cares. Just say the Democrats or Republicans. I was looking at the Democrats. We know where they're sitting. Fucking hell.
You never saw people go crazy like that. For 5 minutes, they were screaming, and Rush.
He does know we all watched it, right? They were screaming for 5 minutes.
You know, as you know, he's told you, he considered it the greatest honor of his life. But it was such an honor for me to have done it. And it wasn't even that controversial. You know, it's very interesting. I thought I was going to be killed on that one, like getting out of the Paris Accord where I wasn't, and doing other things where I wasn't, because the people of this country know. But I thought on that one I'd be hit hard, and I wasn't, because people understood.
Because he was in the room and he had cancer and he could barely stand. People were grossed out by it, and it was ridiculous. But on the scale of pulling us out of the Paris Accord and fucking up our air and water, it doesn't kind of. I don't know why that would be higher.
Great man, he loved the country, and I was really honored to have his support. And he wasn't with like anybody else. He knew a lot of the senators that were running. He knew everybody that was running. But he just saw my first opening remarks speech. I guess you could call it a speech. It was just...
No, I wouldn't call it a speech. I would just call it blather.
Remarks about what's wrong with the country and what could be right. And he loved it. And from day one, he was a fan. So he was just a terrific guy, and we miss Rush.
Jesus Christ. Everybody... Should I go back and we can do you guys want to see that story again? I mean, I personally, I laughed, I cried. It became a part of me, that story. I can't wait till they turn it into a musical.
And what you did was very classy, because I can tell you afterward, he called me about it, and we spoke about it. He couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
And it was the thrill of his life.
It was very classy to give someone who, thought that drug addicts deserve to go to jail. Let's see. May I? Just in case anybody missed this part of it, weren't around in 2006. By the way, Rush Limbaugh, in his own classy way, used to say that people who are addicted to drugs need to be put in jail and kept there. Rush Limbaugh and prosecutors in the long-running prescription fraud case against him have reached a deal calling for the only charge against the conservative commentator to be dropped without a guilty plea if he continues treatment. Limbaugh turned himself in to authorities on a warrant filed Friday, charging him with fraud to conceal information to obtain prescriptions. With Terry Barber, a spokesperson for the Palm Beach County Jail, is that the same jail that Epstein got a key to, and he could just let himself out? He and his attorney Roy Blank left about an hour later. Limbaugh was photographed and fingerprinted. He posted $3,000 bail. He not publicly, prosecutors' 3-year investigation of Limbaugh began after he publicly acknowledged being addicted to pain medication and entered a rehabilitation program. They accused Limbaugh of doctor shopping or illegally deceiving multiple doctors to receive overlapping prescriptions after learning he had received about 2,000 painkillers prescribed by 4 doctors in 6 months at a pharmacy near his Palm Beach mansion. Limbaugh, who pleaded not guilty Friday, has steadfastly denied doctor shopping. But I've maintained from the start that there's no doctor shopping at all. He's going to go back into a huge audience. I'm not disputing. Let's see. State's attorney did not sign the agreement. Defraying legal costs. He's going to do that. Now, was that the only time? Oh, yeah, here it is. Before his own problems became public, Limbaugh had decried drug use and abuse and mocked President Clinton for saying he'd not inhaled when he tried marijuana. He often made the case that drug crimes deserve punishment. Drug use, some might say, is destroying this country. And we have laws against selling drugs, pushing drugs, using drugs, importing drugs. And so if people are violating the law by doing drugs, they ought to be accused and they ought to be convicted and they ought to be sent up. On October 5th, 1995, on his short-lived TV show. Now let's see. I'm sure that's the only time he's ever. Let's see. Rush Limbaugh drugs housekeeper. Now that's in 2006. 2003, a former housekeeper for Rush Limbaugh claims she supplied the conservative commenter with thousands of doses of painkillers, some of which may have come from a mom and pop pill mill busted earlier this year. The housekeeper and her husband told their story to a Miami lawyer and then to the Palm Beach County State's Attorney's Office after a promise of immunity. Then they sold the tale to the National Enquirer that said Rush Limbaugh caught in drug ring. Whether or not State Attorney Barry Krischer is interested in prosecuting Limbaugh isn't known, but prosecutors rarely pursue drug addicts unless they catch them with the drugs. Limbaugh said in a statement, "I am unaware of any investigation by any authorities involving me. No governmental representative contacted me directly or indirectly. If my assistance is required in the future, I will, of course, cooperate fully." Notice in there it isn't, I've never done thousands of painkillers. Pretty easy way to cover that. That would be the easy way out of that, right? Yeah? Mega dittos and barbiturates, right? Wilma Klein, 42, and her husband, 41, who claimed they were Limbaugh's drug suppliers for 4 years. They said they sold him about 11,900 tablets over 6 months in 2001. Enquirer story said the couple got nervous and contacted Edward Shohat, a noted Miami criminal defense lawyer, last year, brought them to Palm Beach County. Given immunity, the clients became part of a drug probe that led to the arrest of Louis and Gloria Bechara in May. That's the pill popping, or the pill mill that they're talking about. Tracked 450,000 doses of powerful narcotic hydrocodone that were dispensed at the Bechara's small pharmacy. World Health Association in suburban, that's the name of the WHA in suburban Lake Worth. They pleaded during 6 months, law enforcement agents from the multi-agency task force seized about 73,000 narcotics tablets from Bechara's home in Loxahatchee and from the pharmacy, and unearthed about $806,000 in cash. Now, that's probably the only time we've ever heard of such a let's see. Let's see. I mean, these weren't the skip this. These weren't the only drugs he was traveling with when he went to the Dominican Republic. After authorities found a bottle of Viagra in his bag at Palm Beach International Airport, the prescription was not in his name. So who was it Trump's Viagra? Limbaugh was detained for more than 3 hours Monday at the airport after returning from vacation in the Dominican Republic. Customs officials found the Viagra in his luggage, but his name was not on the prescription. Said the alleged violation could be a second-degree misdemeanor. The sheriff's office investigating was soon under the deal reached last month is not to be arrested for any infraction for 18 months in exchange for authorities deferring a charge of doctor shopping. And basically, he didn't doctor shop. He flew to the Dominican Republic and picked up some drugs. But, yeah. Bruce Epstein's Viagra. By the way, Trump and Limbaugh, both well-known sex tourists, and drug users under the table. So that's why they felt like. That's why Levin thought they'd be like two bugs in a row.
A number of photos in this book with you and your wife, the First Lady, Melania.
Belani? I'm sorry.
With you and your wife, the First Lady, Melania.
Melania. I'm sorry. I didn't realize he had two wives. Melania.
With you and your wife, the First Lady, Melania.
Melania. I wonder if Melania Trump knows Carrot Pence.
We're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Carrot.
And, yes, Carrot, Pence, and Melania, they're like this.
You have a very
I had a carrot and bologna sandwich. Sorry.
tight relationship with your wife. My wife and I.
Hold on. Edit. Listen to that.
You have a very tight relationship with your wife. My wife and I sit with you.
See that? Did you hear that? Did he go? What did Trump go? Not really. And they had to cut it out.
Your wife from time to time. You commiserate. You talk to each other. You agree or disagree in a very respectful way. Tell us.
Yeah, that's how it goes. She slaps your hand away when you're just trying to hold it in a massively public event. She stands clear of you like you just tried to fart on her. Yeah.
About the relationship.
You turn around, you agree to disagree about how shitty you made her feel at multiple events, including your own inauguration.
So she's a very solid person.
That's a description. That's love. That's folks, if I ever describe my girlfriend as a very solid person, I'm in trouble. I'm in the doghouse. You are taking my phone call from the doghouse. She's a very solid person. What do you mean? Well, some of those aftermarket parts are quite...
So she's a very solid person. You're not allowed to say this anymore, so I won't say that she's a beautiful person. She's very beautiful.
You're not allowed to say it anymore, so I won't say it, but she's a very beautiful person. You mean she's physically beautiful. That's what he means by beautiful person. She's physically beautiful. She's solid and gorgeous. She's basically a Barbie doll. Like she's made out of plastic. Some of her.
You're not allowed to say this anymore, so I won't say that she's a beautiful person. She's very beautiful. But today that doesn't matter. You're not allowed to talk about that.
Matters to a lot
so
of
I
us.
won't.
What? Today that doesn't matter. You're not allowed to talk. No, asshat. You're not supposed to brag about your wife just on her looks, because it's classless and gross. It's just, hey, you go through a lot of things with your mate. Tell us about your relationship with your wife. Well, she's physically stout and what a looker. When's her birthday? No fucking idea. I have an assistant tell me the day of, and they go get her something.
Okay, I will not talk about beauty, but she's a beautiful person inside.
Oh, and then the slurping, fucking hell.
And out, but a beautiful person, and she comes from.
And like Levin, and out, in and out. Oh God, why did I let you near my wife?
Country that doesn't have too many problems. They don't know about crime. They don't know about the kind of problems we have. It's a very solid. They're solid people.
Yeah, she's solid. They're solid. She's solid. She's stout. They don't have crime. And where is she? Is she from Slovenia? Right? Hold on. Yeah, Yugoslavia. So they're from, yes. She's from Slovenia. She's from Yugoslavia and Slovenia. Let's see. Let's look up Slovenia crime rate. This is probably they just from macro trends. The 0.48 is 47. International homicides are estimated. They do not include intentional killings. They're doing very well. This is look at the crime rate from 1990 to 2020. It's a little up, during this time. It was doing much better during Obama years. Then up and down and up and down. We're all over the place. 87.9% is what? This changed, went higher, went down, and then it goes up and then down and up and down. It basically just, there's not that many people, man. So it's killings in the places. The Slovenia crime rate is down 47% from last year's up 80, from 2017's up 17%, and then down 50% in 2016, which is up from 2014's 2015, is down from those things, man. They're style people, though. That's the thing. Like, they would have a lot of murders, but you can't stab them because they're like, these people are like made almost entirely out of plastic.
You look at that part of the world where they clean their sidewalks every Saturday morning. They scrub their sidewalks. Everything's clean. You know, they have difficulties, I guess, like everybody has difficulties. But she comes from a very good background. And it's amazing, but that background made her like this country, love this country even more. She was very...
Yeah, she loved our dirty sidewalks. She loved this annoying thing where she was forced to scrub sidewalks. She loved our piss-covered New York sidewalks. That was... What the fuck? How do you talk about your partner like that? What the shit is this? She was very happy to come over here and only have to fuck one ugly rich asshole instead of dozens to get ahead in Slovenia. What?
To be first lady. First ladies of other countries, the wives of prime ministers, the wives of presidents, like France, Macron, the wife. She's a wonderful woman. They all gravitated to Melania. They loved Melania.
But now they don't call her. What's the deal? Like, they loved her, but they don't want to have any fucking thing to do with her. What is that about? What is this? The wife. Describe your wife. Other people seem to like her. She's from a place that has very clean sidewalks. She's physically solid. This is France, Macron, the wife. They love, in mountain, woman come down. What is this?
The press was so irrelevant.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Bicycle, Mike, she left him. He has not seen her in months.
She, no matter what, she'd do the most beautiful Christmas ornaments and the trees, and they were white. They were so beautiful, and the press would say, oh, they shouldn't be white, they should be green. Then she'd have them green.
I asked you about your personal relationship with her. Oh, he has no idea where she is. None. And she said, fuck the Christmas. They got on to her because a recording came out of this Melania Christmas trees. This is the fucking... They were white and they should be green. Bitch, they were red. It looked like Satan. Look at this nonsense. The Handmaid's Tale references write themselves. Personally, in response to critiques, we're in the 21st century. Everybody has different tastes. I think they look fantastic. I hope everyone will come over and visit it. In real life, they look even more beautiful. If you're Satan, look at these things. It's like all mistletoe berries, which are poisonous. That's all you need to know. Part of the best thing. Look at these fucking things. And this is the white Christmas thing where they were like spindly. Like they were white and they look beautiful, and people said they should be green. And like it looks like hell. Everything she did in the Christmas vein, like finally I think they did a normal one at one point. Where is it? Yeah, there you go. Like the normal Christmas trees. It's like, here you go. This was the first, 2019. Because everybody was like, enough with the fucking weird, like, hellscape Christmases. What are you doing? They were white and they look fantastic, and white is always better. And they were when they said they should be green because it's fucking Christmas.
And they said they shouldn't be green, they should be white. Didn't matter.
Yeah, nobody said they shouldn't be green. Nobody went, what the fuck is with these green evergreen trees?
There's a lot of confidence. It didn't matter to her too much. She just wanted to do the right thing. But she loves.
Yeah, she did. She didn't complain about it at all, except in that fuck Christmas recording with her friend.
People. And she helped a lot of people while she was at the White House.
She speaks a lot of languages too, right?
A lot of languages.
Incredibly intelligent.
She's very smart.
You don't. What's that like? Do you ever catch her speaking another language to somebody and going, what are you guys saying? And she goes, nothing, and then walks away. And you're like, I don't think that was nothing, but I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, very smart. Got a good heart. But she's also very strong. And she knows
solid, some would say. I've heard people refer to her as solid.
Right from wrong.
And your kids, they went through a lot too.
Oh my God. That was it. That's the segment on the description of Melania. She's solid. She comes from a place where they scrub the sidewalks every weekend, but she prefers it here in New York where there's urine all over the sidewalks, presumably. And she's very tough. She'd rather be here because she just does. And they fucked with her at Christmas and everybody likes her, but they don't talk to her anymore because she's no longer first lady. The end. Oh, and she speaks other languages, which we already knew.
Yeah.
I mean,
they went through a tremendous.
It used to be keep your hands.
Yeah, the kids. Oh, the kids went through so much. The kids. Tell us about what the horrors the kids went through. And by kids, we mean grown adults. And then also, since you were talking about Rush, why don't you talk about how he talked about Chelsea Clinton when she was a child?
The kids.
Yeah.
But Don Jr. especially, Ivanka was mocked, even though she was very, very successful. What was it like when your kids would come under attack or they were dragged in front of depositions?
Oh, what's it like? This is your moment. Be a dad. Let down the shield of businessman and let us know emotionally what it was like to hear your kids get mocked and have to be deposed in legal.
And so forth, and you knew they were lying about this Russia collusion and so forth.
Well, it's like I said with Don, they make up a story and then they go after these people. I mean, they go after people, not only my kids, they were going after other people violently about.
Yeah, real people. You know what I mean? Not my kids. People who are actually, who I care about.
Russia, and they had nothing to do with Russia. It was so sick. But they did. They went after my kids. My kids, Ivanka had a very successful company. And we knew that it would cost us. Every other president they leave, they make a lot of money. They make it during their presidency. Obama goes with Netflix and all that. I mean, nobody looks at that.
Remember when, Obama started that company, Netflix. It was this online workout thing where you could play basketball with him while he was president. And it was a subscription service, Netflix.
Presidency, Obama goes with Netflix and all that. I mean, nobody looks at that. Made millions of dollars from a book. He got more money for a book than anybody ever even came close to. So why do you pay so much money for?
Oh, he did? He made more money from a book than anybody you ever heard of? Also, I guess you were bullshitting about Art of the Deal.
Look, there's so much stuff that goes on. I knew that I would substantially hurt my wealth. Didn't matter because I'm very wealthy, but I knew that to do it right, I could have made deals with everybody. I could have made deals in.
Oh fuck! This is where this is where this clip's coming from. When he's supposed to be talking about his children and how he felt about them being attacked. Can we just hang on to that for a fucking second? That the question from Levin was, your kids were attacked. They were deposed. They were mocked. How did that make you feel? He first goes, not just my kids, a lot of people got attacked. Oh, it was terrible. And also, Obama made a bunch of money off of a book, more than anybody ever made off of a book, even though my book is the greatest business book that's ever made money in the history of ever making money. But also, fuck my kids. I lost money during this deal, and I knew I would. Listen to this shit.
I'm telling you, I could have made deals.
Wait,
but I knew
hold
that
on.
to do it right, I could have made. I'm telling you, I could have made deals with everybody. I could have made deals in Saudi Arabia. I could have made deals with everybody. They all wanted me to make deals. I said, don't do it. Don't make deals. I could have quadrupled my fortune. I could have made it 20 times bigger, 10 times bigger. I didn't want to do it. I knew.
Well, then why aren't you doing it right now? Oh, because you can't, right? Sorry.
Doing this would be very expensive because I didn't want to do the kind of things that many other people would do. When you look at so many other, look at.
Yes, please explain to us what the fuck you are talking about.
The things that happened with Biden over the years. And look at what the son's doing. Great artists don't get anywhere near what he gets for a painting. It's such a scam. If I said about prosecutors what he said about the prosecutor in Ukraine, about the $2 billion not going to Ukraine unless the prosecutors, I would be excoriated. It would be over.
It was over, asshole. You did say something like that just to protect yourself. When Biden said that about the prosecutor in Ukraine, he was acting on behalf of the administration and the entire U.S. government. That, in case you're wondering, let's see. Biden on Ukrainian prosecutor. Fired, whatever. Well, the video will come up. Image videos. There you go. This is the, hold on. Where's the actual video of it? Hold on. That's this guy. Then, okay, there's gonna, like, let me find the video. Here it is. This is on Facebook. Hold on. See where this is. Yeah, here you go. This is at CFR. This is at the Council on Foreign Relations. He's telling a story. Listen to this.
No, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said, I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time. No,
hey, there's and look, even a word that Trump understands. Solid. They put in somebody who wasn't a Russian sock puppet. Call him. Call the president. Call President Obama. See if Biden's doing this on his own. Is this him going rogue to protect Hunter? No. He was put in charge of this. Hal Sparks, was the solid person Melania like? Yes, they were. They were totally. Melania Trump was they replaced the prosecutor with Melania Trump. He's talking at the CFR. They're filming it. There's a crowd there. They're talking about the importance of dealing with this. Every time Trump talks about this video, and Levin does it too, Fox does it. They have Biden on video admitting that he was leveraging this $1 billion. It was the policy of the government of the United States that you had to push back against this corruption, and this particular prosecutor was not trustworthy. He was a Russian sock puppet. Everybody knew it. You have to start dealing with this stuff. And they were holding out. They were keeping this dude in power. He's like, I'm not giving you $1 billion of loan guarantees unless you get rid of the fucking guy. And they did. This isn't video from a fucking grainy hotel room shot where somebody set their cell phone on the table leaning up against a wine glass. This is it. This is the video everybody's talking about. Okay, like we covered this like a year ago because it also came up again. But this is on a panel where they're literally talking about the amount of corruption going on at the time. This is pre-Zelensky. This is when the president at the time was the guy that Manafort went and worked for, ultimately. This is before that. Jesus, like, it's just fucking dumb. Why would the White House want a foreign country who they have suspect is corrupt handle and give credence to no peace about corruption in 17? I wish the cameras would have switched to Sanders and Warren during that presentation by Bondi. Sorry. Okay. This is that video. Anytime anybody asks you, he was talking in front of the Council of Foreign Relations on Ukrainian and Russian corruption.
You talk about quid pro quo. That was quid pro quo.
No, it wasn't. It was simply the rules of the deal.
You don't want Hunter Biden getting in trouble.
I don't want to see that, no.
But they want it.
No, I don't want him to see that. I mean, because if he gets into trouble in the discovery process, they'll want to see the actual laptop. And since it doesn't fucking exist, and I ordered Rudy, and Rudy still has a bunch of texts, I ordered Rudy to buy the hard drive in Ukraine from the Russians that had all the compromat and the fake, the deep fake documents on it. I'll catch shit. So I don't want him to get in trouble now.
Don Jr. to get in trouble.
They did.
And Eric and Ivanka and the people close to you, secretaries and other people had to spend a fortune on lawyers and everything. That's the difference, I would argue, between them and us.
Yeah. You don't want to go after Hunter Biden. They just want to leave him alone. You know what I mean? It's not like you sent your lawyer after him or tried to concoct lies about the guy, any of that stuff, and then what do you have? AGs inside the government looking into the, legally what you guys are doing.
They play to destroy.
It's terrible.
Yeah. No, we play to win. It's wrong.
Yeah, winning, destroying. I mean, we can only win by destroying. They play to destroy. We play to win. And by winning, we mean storm the Capitol and get people killed.
What they do. It's vicious and it's wrong. Have to hold. But they do.
Oh, shit. Look at that. Wait. Listen to this edit. Did you listen for have to hold? Somebody stops the interview in this.
They do. It's vicious and it's wrong. Have to hold. But they do. Hunter Biden, if he were on the other side, well, it wouldn't have happened because he would have been gone long before he took the money from China, long before he got paid $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. We have a double standard. It's much harder for...
Yeah, that's the edit, by the way. Have to hold, and then they let him finish his sentence, and then that's where the cut was.
$3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. We have a double...
Which went to the company and was the money they were supposed to invest, and the only money that Rosemont Seneca made off of that deal was a percentage of the profits she made through their investment advice, like any investment house. And now she's the richest woman in Russia.
It's much harder for Republicans. Frankly, I tell people it's a lot easier to be a Democrat because they're protected. They've been there for a long time. It's interesting. I came to Washington. Right. I was only there for 17 times. I think 17 times it was reported, but not a lot. Wasn't my playground for the most part. I never...
No, his playground was obviously, backstage at the Miss Teen USA contest in Russia, I think. Or, Stormy Daniels' hotel room or something.
Overnight, all of a sudden I'm riding down Pennsylvania Avenue in a beautiful in the Beast, right? The world's most expensive car. In this, and I look at the First Lady, I say, do you believe it? I'm president and you're First Lady, and we're riding, we have hundreds of motorcycles and we have everything. But the fact is, we weren't a part of that establishment. These people have been put in office for 25,
And you're not.
30 years. The Bushes, many cases.
Yeah, it's weird. They keep getting reelected. It's funny about that you're talking about people who can manage to get a job and keep the job. Every 2 or 4 years, these people manage to get reelected. It's so strange. Mitch McConnell apparently is just the worst Republican in the entire world, and yet still has his job and you don't. Rigged election indeed.
Clinton, Obama. So we get there. Don't know.
Yeah, Obama was there for a very short time. He won 3 elections in a row. 4, technically. State. He was appointed into the Senate seat and then won and then president twice. So basically, he did it in 3 elections and 2 terms as president. That's gotta suck.
I know sort of everybody. I know the good, the bad, and the ugly. But they've been there for a long
Well, you know what they say, know thyself.
time. You know, they call it the deep state. And we'll have another discussion on the words deep state. But they've been there for a long
Yeah, let's do that. Please, let's have another discussion on the words deep state. I think that's important.
River.
time. They've been in the Justice Department. They've been in the FBI. They've been in CIA. So you're coming into a hornet's nest. I was going to say before, if I didn't fire Comey, they were looking to take down the President of the United States. If I didn't fire him, and some people said he made a mistake when he fired Comey. And now those same people said it was the most incredible instinctual moves that they've ever seen.
If I may, this started with a question about his children being mocked and his wife being solid, and
because I might be here with you, perhaps we'll be talking about something else, but
yes, might be here with you talking about my legal issues with I don't know, the families of people that I told I would bail out of jail if they got arrested for assaulting people at my rallies.
I don't think I could have survived if I didn't fire him, because it was like a hornet's nest. When I fired him, they all went crazy against each other.
And they didn't like him before you fired him. They wanted him removed because they thought he set up Hillary, and then you fire him, and then all of a sudden they flip.
Well, there's 2 FBIs.
Yeah.
There's the people at top, the Comey and the McKay.
And then there's the door kickers. That's what Don Jr. always says. And secondly, everybody was fine with the idea that Comey would leave office. And we definitely thought that his monkeying around with the open investigation about the Hillary server, which turned out to be a bunch of fart air and fell apart, that was reason for him to have overstepped his boundaries. But then once he was past that point, he was in, he had the rest of his term to work out. But the issue is that once he'd helped Trump get into office that way, and then almost sort of to balance out what he was doing, went after Trump for what he was doing, then Trump acted extrajudicially and tried to get rid of the guy who was looking into him. That was the issue. Yeah, 2 FBIs.
All of these people.
The people at the top and then the agents on the ground is what he's going to say. The door kickers. That's what Junior always talks about, even though it's the U.S. Marshals that do most of the door kicking. But
Well, the 2 lovers, right? The 2 lovers. It's just so. But the 2 lovers.
you can't remember Lisa Page and I can't remember the other dude too. He used to talk about it all the time. That he always calls them the 2 lovers, and now he's like,
Use the public servers.
Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. Notice how like the talking point is so like has so run dry. He doesn't kind of care.
The two lovers, it's just so. But the two lovers used the public servers. They used the FBI servers for their message back and forth. Wasn't that lovely? So other people, I can imagine who they were, didn't find out. And a big moment was when they said,
well, no, everybody finds out because they did it on the servers that are internal to the FBI, and the fucking slurping. Knock it off.
the insurance policy. In
yes,
other
he was
words,
waiting for Levin to bail him out.
Remember, she's going to win 100 million to 1. But in case she doesn't, we have an insurance policy. And they were doing the insurance policy. And
yeah, the insurance policy, they thought, was the obvious evidence of your collusion with Russia, which is clear not only from the Mueller report in its unredacted form, but the secondary Mueller report, which has just come out. Let me see if I can. Is it? Let's see. I don't know if it was WAPO that put it up. Hold on. It's the longest newspaper in the whole wide world. However, will we find it? Okay, let's go. Mueller. There's another Mueller report. Can I post one of my again? The committee, given his history, cooperating, imagine there's delays on. Okay, that's the January 6th. Oh, this is from Mueller, she wrote. So creating a media company was the plan all along, and Nunes will now run it. Here's the message from Assange to Don Jr. in 2016. Hi, Don. If your father loses, we think it's much more interesting if he does not concede and spends time challenging the media and other types of rigging that occurred, as he has implied that he might do. He's also much more likely to keep his base alive and energized this way. And if he's going to start a new network, showing how corrupt the old ones are is helpful. The discussion about the rigging can be transformative as he exposes media corruption, primary corruption, PAC corruption, etc., etc. And this Nunes... the Mueller, she wrote, has got a ton of stuff, so that comes up. Yeah, here it is. Bump. Politico. Feds could release alternative Mueller report soon. Primary processing of compendium mentioned in Mueller Aide's book should be completed next month, court filing says. An unpublished investigative compilation, sometimes referred to as the Alternative Mueller Report, has been located in the Justice Department files and could be released soon, according to a letter filed in federal court Thursday. Top deputy to special counsel Robert Mueller, Andrew Weissman, revealed in a book he published last year that the team had prepared a summary of all of its work, apparently including details not contained in the final report made public in 2019. At least for posterity, I had all the team members write up an internal report memorializing everything we found, our conclusions, and the limitations of the investigation, and provide it to other team leaders, as well as it had maintained in our files. Wrote Weissman in Where Law Ends Inside the Mueller Investigation. The reference prompted the New York Times to submit a Freedom of Information Act requesting the document in January and to follow up in July with a lawsuit in U.S. District Court in Manhattan. Lawyers from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan told Judge Catherine Polka-Fela in a letter Thursday that officials had figured out what document Weissman was alluding to and had begun reviewing it for possible release. And still waiting on Durham, I guess. But that one's going to be out before Durham's.
Found out through Durham and others. We've found out. We've had great patriots, Jim Jordan and Devin Nunes, and so many people. We've had great support.
Great patriots. I mean, the patriots. If there's anybody that's a patriot like Jim Jordan, it's hard to say who of all the patriotic things, because even if you have disagreements, the idea of seeing your fellow Americans as good old patriots. The kind of patriot that if as an American your son is being sexually assaulted, he's the kind of patriot that will look the other way and protect the abuser at every turn. Jim Jordan said over the weekend that the radical left represents a danger to the country like the evils of Nazi Germany and slavery. Every third generation in this country has to do something big. You think about the founders and what they did when they declared they were going to be an independent country and what they have overcome. They had to overcome the greatest military in the world. That's England. They did it. 3 generations later, Lincoln and the Americans that held the country together got rid of the evil of slavery. 3 generations later, we defeated Imperial Japan and Nazi Germany, the evils that those two countries represented. The greatest generation won that war. According to Jordan, today's Democrats are similar to those historical challenges. Here we are 3 generations later, and the assault is from the radical left. We have to step forward and do our part like previous generations of Americans have done. I think we're up to the task. On Newsmax, no less. Gibberish. But that's what, that's how a true patriot speaks about their fellow Americans.
I had great support on the impeachment. When I watched Cuomo didn't want to be impeached, and he left, he didn't have support. And I had tremendous support from the Republican Party.
And
outside of...
Well, sure, because you have dirt on them and they know it.
Few people.
And the people.
I had great support from the people.
Did not like what was taking place.
Yeah.
They didn't like it. They didn't like what was taking place, people. They're going to wrap up in a second. Get over yourself.
Welcome back, America. There's not many people who could do a 70-minute interview straight through, part 1 and part 2, like
I could do it standing on my head. The fuck are you talking
President
about?
Trump did it. Certainly not Joe Biden, but very few politicians.
What are you talking about? Most of the people in the Senate could talk for 4 fucking hours without ever being asked a question. And what did he say? The same shit he said over and over again. It was like watching muscles twitch.
I strongly encourage you to get a copy of this fantastic book. It's a wonderful coffee table book.
It's great. And you have to, I'm sure you're not saying that because you promised to do this sales pitch for him because you wouldn't do the show unless you promised.
Together, perfect Christmas gift. Go to 45books.com to order it.
Yeah, perfect Christmas gift. For those of you that hate Christmas, it's great for your fuck the Christmas list.
45books.com, 45books.com. Again, it is a terrific book. You're going to enjoy it very, very much.
So good. Yeah.
Also,
so it's, it's just...
if you go to Amazon right now, you can get American Marxism. Remember this book?
No, yeah, that's weird. Your book's on Amazon, big tech, but Trump's isn't. That's weird. By the way, did he finish this interview? Is that it? Well, I guess that's it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. There was no goodbye, Mr. President, in any of that shit? Well, damn.